All right, ladies and gentlemen of the CSL, we're back for part 2 of the 2023 draft analysis. With me again, I got Marcos of the Bulls and Brett, former Dallas Mavs GM, current draft head. All right, guys, let's start. 2 minutes on the clock here. We're going to do 2 minutes for picks 11 through 20. 2 minutes on the clock. We got the Cleveland Cavaliers. Josh taking John Collins, another big man right after Robert Williams. Now, I know one of Josh's first comments was, of course, he wanted Robert Williams. What are your guys' thoughts on John Collins? It sounded like there's a bit of a drop-off between Robert Williams and John Collins. What are your thoughts, Marcus?
There was a lot of hype surrounding him, but according to my scouting team, I'm not going to buy into the hype. He was pointed out as an elite defender. I don't see that in my scouting reports. I see him as an efficient player who's going to grab some offensive boards. He's going to have a little bit of trouble on the defensive glass. I like the selection if we're going to go for a big man, but he's not my kind of player. Probably the best pure big man left in the board, but I think the drop off between him and Williams, like you said, was too big.
Now,
I don't see that. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't see that. I think they're pretty much. I think they're actually fairly close together. Biggest difference between the two players is their man-to-man defense and their shot blocking. They have an equal spread between their man-to-man defense and their shot blocking. Whereas John Collins, I think, is going to be an elite man defender. He's going to be
That's
pretty
interesting.
good shot blocker. He won't be anywhere near as good as Robert Williams in shot blocking, but he's going to be a much better on-man defender. Similar draw foul ability, almost equal stealing, basically the exact same rebounding, and he'll be a slightly better scorer than Robert Williams. So they're fairly close. It's just a lot of us prefer a little bit more shot blocking than we do as far as man defense.
So how close were you guys to taking John Collins with the Sixers?
I think it was Robert Williams all the way.
Okay. All right. So that is it for pick number 11. So pick 12 is the Miami Heat. Shocker. They went shooting with Landry Shamet. To me, he looked like a Beasley type player with some steals. Very good shooter, especially from downtown. Not great defensively, but he will force steals at least, whereas Beasley's doesn't really do that. Go ahead, Marcos. What do you think about this pick?
I would have gone with a little bit better defensive option like Devon Reed or Costas, but it's a psychological pick. I'm not going to argue with this pick because guy has been to two straight finals, so it's basically what they have. They have a lot of shooters who can pass the ball. He can shoot. He can pass. He's an elite shooter. He's a very good passer. He's going to be a Miami Heat player, basically.
Go ahead, Brad. What do you think about this pick?
I like the pick in a simple fact. I think once we make the conversion, his value is going to increase a lot. He's going to be an excellent three-point shooter. He's going to get well over a steal and a half a game. I think it's hard to. I just think it's going to be two highly valued things. I actually compared him a lot, pretty similar to Ben McLemore. That's who I think he's going to be closest to.
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
Interesting. That's a very good point. I think, especially after the Heat making this pick, I think you could definitely say they have a type. They're definitely trying to bring in a bunch of shooters. They just traded for Jabari Bird too, who's another guy that can shoot the ball really well. So they're definitely bringing in a lot of shooters, a lot of zone busters, which is interesting. All right, so the next pick Was the Heat. Who did they end up trading this to? Was this the Pacers?
Pacers, indeed.
Okay, so they took Eli Jacobo. Marcos, I'll let you take it away. What do you think about this pick?
My next A plus player in this list.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think I had an early mock draft and I didn't even have much info on Okobo, but I already saw how good of an offensive player he's going to be. Compares not as favorable as Lillard, but he compares to Lillard in some ways, and I think it would have been a good pick for Indiana at sixth, because of how he fits the team, how much of a unscoring punch he would be next to Winslow, and he fell to them to uh, at 13, and that was like amazing value, perfect fit, BPA as well. So nothing much to say other than A plus, and congrats, Lucas.
Go ahead, Brad. What do you think about this pick?
I think it's a little bit early for him personally. I don't think he can play point guard. I think he's going to be strictly a shooting guard. I'm trying to pull up. I just don't know if he's going to shoot it well enough to justify being that high. I mean, he's going to be a good 3-point shooter, but I don't think he's going to shoot. Over 40%. Even I don't think he's going to be at 40% to justify being that high. I think there's better players on the board that would have fit a little bit better than he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, his defense is even as good as Malik Monk, so I just think his pick was a little bit too high for him.
So you see him as like a scoring two guard type as opposed to.
Correct.
And why do you think that is? Where he just doesn't have the playmaking to play point or the defense to play point?
Yeah, I mean his defense is horrible,
Okay.
and I don't think he's got the pass rating to do it. Also, I don't like point guards with pass ratings that's in the 50s.
I agree with at one point that he's going to be a shooting guard. He's not going to be a point, but on the other hand, that's basically what they need. They have just acquired Moutier, who I like personally, and he's going to be a very good fit with Moutier and Winslow. He's not an elite 3-point shooter like Brett pointed out, but he's going to be good enough to do
Be
some
a good jump
damage
shooter.
against you. Yeah, he's a good jump shooter, and he's going to do some damage to zone defenses. So he's not going to do it all alone, like Linder Shamet would, but he's going to score for them and bring shooting and bring an outside touch they lack.
All right, so that'll bring us to our next pick, which is this is Adam and the Brooklyn Nets taking Marcus Derrickson. Go ahead, Marcos. What do you think about Derrickson?
I'm really, back when we were starting this, and I was my grades, I was wondering what Brett's opinions would be, and we have different opinions for some players, but Derrickson is a guy I'm eager to hear what he thinks about, because to me it was a strange pick. I don't think Derrickson is a great fit at Brooklyn, even though they have DeAndre Ayton and could pair him with a floor spacer. But I don't think he's necessarily a great option. I think Pascal Siakam was doing a good job and was a long-term starter for them. He was a very good rebounder. I know Ayton is going to have some good touch on mid-range jumpers as well. So I'm interested in hearing what Brad has to say in this pick.
Yeah, Brad,
So
what
I
do you
like
think
the
about
pick.
your fellow draft team head pick here?
So I've already began testing the 2024 class and the 19 to see what type of how players do with ratings compared to how they do with BDS3. And what I've seen so far, Biggs at the 4 loves any player loves to shoot the 3, especially with certain ratings. And Derrickson will be elite down low. He'll be elite from 3, and he's going to be probably. I think he's the best foul drawer in the draft. His defense isn't great. I mean, I think I like this player a lot better than Okobo. So he's going to be a better defender than Okobo. Won't probably score as much, but with the 3 points and the foul drawing, I think he could average 17, 18 points per game and 9 rebounds. Um, I think this playing the lottery was a great pick.
It sounds like he's very talented on offense. So when you say he's should be elite down low, you mean like his inside scoring?
Yes, yeah. You if he does straight down low scoring and doesn't shoot any threes, he'll shoot over 60% down low. But as threes, he could probably convert close to 70%.
Wow. So I'll be curious to see how he does, especially in 19 for Adam and that team. So the next pick is this is with the Memphis Grizzlies, Colin Sexton. Marcos, what do you think about this pick, the point guard there?
I couldn't figure out him that much. I know he's going to be an average defender, an average playmaker, an average scorer. He can't shoot that much. His is kind of Shaq Harrison's 3 point ability is comparable to it. But I think it's a good pick for the island. He needed a point guard, a starting point guard. I don't know if Sexton is going to be a starting point guard down the road, but he was good value at 15 in my opinion.
What do you think about this pick, Brett?
I think I see him as nothing more than a second point guard on the team. I mean, he's decent everywhere, but we've seen time after time point guards with similar type ratings just get abused by the elite point guards in this league. And every contending team has an elite point guard. And they all as you've seen this year with your own point guard, they just get thrashed. Pass range, I mean, man is pointing out his pass range higher as handles, which is an interesting range as far as turnovers go. He's not going to be overly efficient either. I just wouldn't want to use a sort of a pick on someone that's going to be projected no more than he'll never be a starter on a playoff level team.
Yeah, I know all about. Sounds like you're describing my point guard situation the past couple of years there, Brett. So now, do you think he could play like a combo guard role, maybe, or is he purely like a backup point guard to you? For a contending team.
I don't know these contending team. I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so that pretty much takes us to this is I really like this next pick. This is the Detroit Pistons. So John took Devon Reed, who in my opinion was after Bridges. I thought Devon Reed was the best 3-and-D guy. If he lasted a couple more picks, I was going to consider trading back into the draft to try to get him because I need shooting at the 3. Marcos, what do you think about this pick?
Well, I had him to Miami instead of Lander Shamet because of his defense, and that's basically John's pick. If Shamet is psychological pick, this is the temple of John's basketball team. Defense, shooting. He's going to be a defensive first guy. He's going to play his role very well. He knows he's a role player, and he's going to perform at a very high level for a role player. He can defend. Sorry, he can shoot. He doesn't do anything else at a great level, but those two things he can do with perfection.
Yeah,
what do you think?
like the player also. I think he reminds me a bit of. I can't find him right now. Let me see what team he's on. Might be the Knicks. I think anytime you have players, especially a 3-and-D type player, he reminds me a lot of Justin Anderson a little bit. Great man-to-man defense, pretty good or decent steals. And he's not going to score a ton, but he can hit the 3-point really well. He's a really good glue guy.
That sounds like pretty good value because I remember talking to you earlier. You think guys like Justin Anderson will do pretty well in the switch to DDS 19. You think that's what John was thinking here when he took this pick?
I think he was concerned about. No, I don't think so. I think he saw high defense. That still translates. That still does well in DDS 3. But I think anyone trying to get as many 3-point shooters as you can is wise. But I think especially now with all the zoning that's going on as teams go there, you just want 3-point shooting now. So I don't think John was worried about DJ's 19 in this pick. I think he wanted some more shooting and he likes defense. So that's my guess he was headed.
Yeah, John definitely added 2 wings so far with Kaiser Gates and Devon Reed. So all right, so pick 17. Brett, this is your old team, the Dallas Mavericks. They took Kostas Antetokounmpo. This is the brother, I'm assuming, of the Greek Freak. I mean,
Yes.
it's a pretty unique last name, so I'd assume so. Go ahead, Marcos. What do you think about this pick? I really liked Antetokounmpo.
Okay. First, I need to call him Costas because the other name is pretty hard to pronounce. So even though I've heard Gianni's last name many times, I can't pronounce this. So I think he's a good player. He was. I was looking at him if Birut was not there. I think he's going to develop into a very good defensive player. I mean, he probably outplays his draft position if he reaches it, but I have no problem with him going 17 because, like Troy Brown, he's such a risky player, and even though he'll have lots of talent, he needs to hit it first. So I think it was the best player available when you look at everything, and the draft team again did a nice job with Costas right there.
Go ahead, Brett. Walk us
Yeah,
through the thought
I think
process.
I think it's a perfect high risk, low or high reward, low risk because at 17 there's going to be so many hit and
Yeah,
misses as we've seen in previous drafts. If he pans out, he's going to be a very good rebounding, very good defender. He's going to be disciplined, high IQ. He's going to be great at drawing fouls. I won't score a ton, but he's just going to be one of those headaches. Great, just one of those another great glue type players that can just do everything well.
Yeah, I think he's listed as small forward, but to me, he's a
a
front
power forward.
court
He can't
guy.
play small forward.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was my thought as well. But I know he can steal, he can defend, he can block shots, he can rebound well. I think his inside shooting is pretty well, if I remember correctly.
It's pretty good. I want to say it's great, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So this will take us to pick 18. So was this Josh again at pick 18 with Josh Okogie?
No, it was Indiana.
Oh, okay. Indiana ended up with this pick. All right. Josh Okogie. Go ahead, Marcos. Let me know what you think about this pick.
Okoji was one of my targets as well. He's going to develop into a 3-and-D kind of player. He is not as good as Devon Reed, for example, but he's going to be a very good free throw shooter. He's going to develop into a nice defender, not elite defender, not great defender, but good enough defender. He's also going to steal the ball very well, and he has the handles. He's the kind of player But of course, I I think there were better players in available at this position. For example, Bruges, for example, McCoy, they could easily have been the pick right here. But since Indiana was looking for a wing player, he probably was the right decision right there.
Um, I think he'll be okay. He's not going to be the first. I think it's going to be kind of like a second wing to come off a bench when it's all said and done. I don't see him as a starter. But I do think he'll be either the first wing or second wing off the bench. Probably not first. I don't think he scores enough. But I think he'll be kind of one of those solid bench players for quality depth type of player.
So, Brett, if you were in the Pacers' shoes, especially since they took Akobo earlier, would you have picked someone else here? It sounds like.
Probably. I'd have to go back and see. Yeah, I definitely would have. I would have probably gone after the falling pick a little more than over him.
Yeah. My thoughts on him. Not super high on him. I think he's okay. Nothing really stood out to me. I scouted him a couple times, I think. Nothing really stood out to me. To me, he seemed like a bench player. At 18, I thought there were a lot of, still 3, 4, 5 solid players still left on the board. But I don't know who they did and didn't scout. So,
But
all
I
right.
would add, I would add following. This is why some of these trades Indiana. I think they made some decent trades, but some of these trades I didn't think made a whole lot of sense because they got here so late to scout these picks thoroughly, and they kept on trading down or trading into this draft, and they didn't have enough knowledge to make good decisions on who to pick.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't really sure. For someone that, if the Pacers, if they didn't have a ton of scouts, to me, I would have traded away picks more than trading for them. Like, I understand why you'd want young picks, but if you don't have a ton of scouts to go on, you're just going to miss on some of your picks anyway. But I think some people like this pick. I wasn't one of them, but all right. So this will take us to the 19th pick in the draft. This was the reach of the draft, in my opinion. Just kidding. Just kidding. So pick number 19, Chicago Bulls. Marcos, what do you like about this guy? How
Everything.
excited were you to get him?
He was my first option from day one. I didn't even know where I was going to pick, but he was my guy. I would have traded up for him if I could. I think he's got he's pretty raw for a 21-year-old player, but he's got decent skills already. He's going to start with over 70 in rebounds, and both rebounds and defense as well. He's not going to be a great shot blocker from day one, but he has some potential right there. And I see him as a fifth star down the road. And it also points out to the fact that this draft was very deep. I consider this guy a bit of steal, but at 19 to be able to find players who could develop into fifth stars, that's great. That shows how deep the draft was.
Now, do you have a player comp for Birutis?
Okay, let Brett do his thing, and I'll search for it. Okay.
All right.
I like Brutus a lot. I think that one of the biggest things that made him fall behind Collins and Robert Williams is because he's very raw. I don't think he's going to be as good as Robert Williams when it's all said and done, but I think he could be in the class of John Collins. But Cleveland had to make that pick just because their team built to win now. I can't sit there and wait for Birutis to develop. I like his all-around game. He's going to be a good defender now and a good shot blocker, and he's going to be a very good rebounder. I think he can be comparable to Varys.
Yeah, I like his overall game. Especially, like, I've done a little bit more research on him recently from talking to other people. I'll be curious to see if Marcos sees him long term. Would he start over Allen? Because I know Marcos is really high on Allen. Or would he try to play them together in the front court? Or
I don't know.
Go ahead, Marcos.
I think Allen has a decent 3-point shooting, decent ball skills. So I might try him at the 4 at some time to see if they can play together. Because Birutis, I don't know how to say his name as well, but I love him anyway. So he's pretty much a post player, and he'll only be a post player. He's a 5 and strictly a 5, but Allen gives me options. So I'll definitely try this come this season. See what happens.
Awesome. And now the last pick of the top 20, Sacramento Kings come in and they take Brandon McCoy out of UNLV. I know Tim was cursing. It's funny because right before the Kings made this pick, Tim was talking to me about how he doesn't think McCoy is anything special, but he went to UNLV and he wants to trade in and get McCoy. And literally right after he said that, within an hour or two, BT came on and chose Brandon McCoy, and then I thought that was pretty funny. But what do you think about this guy, Marcos?
Yeah, he's a very good offensive rebounder. Yeah, a great offensive rebounder. He's going to be a good rebounder overall as well. He has a decent shot blocking, decent defense. I think he was best player available. It was between him and Mito. I don't know how to say that his name, but I like the pick. He was under consideration for me as well, but uh, yeah, I think Brutus is a little bit better, but I like him. I like him. He's going to have a chance to start if he develops well.
What do you think, Brett?
I like him. He's the type of player I'd target to be my first big off the bench. For guys, I want to build a team. He'd be the guy I'd want to be there. I don't see him as a starter on a contender unless he has superstars all around him. But I think he'd be a solid player that won't kill you if someone gets injured.
Now, is he raw or is he relatively polished? Because I wonder if he could come in and take McGarry's spot, because I know the Kings aren't looking to retain McGarry now that he's a free agent. I wonder if he could step into those shoes.
I mean, he's 10 points away from maxing out at offensive rebounding, so I guess you can say he's semi-raw, but he's good enough that his practice going and play right away.
Gotcha. So it might depend on how he does in training camp.
Yeah.
But, all right, so that'll take us to, all right, so we're going to be going into rapid fire mode. So we're going to spend 1 minute on each of these next 10 guys. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a ton about most of these guys. So I'll leave it to the experts here, Marcos and obviously Brett. All right, so number 21, the Clippers took, I don't even know how to say his name, Chimezie Metu. Go ahead, Marcos. You said you had it between Metu and McCoy. What do you like about this guy?
Great defensive player, probably elite defensive player with great shot blocking as well. His rebounding leaves a bit to be desired. Not much of an offensive threat, but I think he'll have a place in this league as a defensive specialist. I like him.
Go ahead, Brett.
It sounds like Marcos has my sheet because he said all that.
Yeah, he seemed like a really good defensive player, which, I mean, I think at pick 21, that's really all you can ask for. You're not going to get, great all-around players. They would have gone much higher, but for a good defensive guy, I think you could do much worse as, your third or fourth big.
Yeah, the downside is that he's really raw with his shot blocking, so he's going to develop. He is going to need a lot of development right there. But I can use as comparison Jabari Bird, who was very raw with his stealing as well, and I think he developed over 15 points at one training camp for his stealing. So I think if it happens to Metu, I think he's going to be a good player.
I mean, that's a pretty high bar there, but trying to say that he'll need to go up 15 points in 1 year, but. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. All right, so the next one, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now they have a new GM. Brett, walk us through how the new GM of the Wolves took this guy and what you like about Kyle.
So he didn't really have any scouts. So basically, we kind of gave him a list of 3 or 4 guys, maybe even 5 guys, and gave him kind of a rough idea of how each player perform and a suggestion based on what we would probably do in a similar situation. Wilson, we think is a player that we think long term will be best suited to move to small forward. I think he's right now as a power forward, if I remember correctly. I think he's got a good 3-point shot. He's not going to shoot a ton, but he's got a very good shot blocker, especially for being a small forward. He's going to be an average rebounder that they handles play there. I think he's more ideally as a player that's going to be suited well for the DS19 transition to this point in the draft. Like this is kind of like the best case scenario you could do.
Marcos, anything to add real quick?
No. I have no idea who this guy is.
Awesome.
I have no scouting.
All right, on to pick number 23. So this was the Wizards took. Now this is one guy that I did scout. I was hoping he would fall to me, but I don't know if the Wizards kept this pick or not. But
No,
that's right. This went to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Actually, this one was traded to me, and I sent it all the way to Oklahoma. It's going to be a real mess, but you understand it
Yep.
when we're past contract decisions.
Quickly, what do you like about Davis?
Oh, I think he's a very good shot blocker, and he's got solid rebounding as well. I don't see much of anything else in his game other than blocking, rebounding, and probably dunking the ball and being a little bit good at defense. That's it. But he's going to be a solid role player.
Brett, anything to add there?
No, I think he's a solid guy. Not quite as good as McCoy, I think, but I think he's going to be pretty similar. I mean, he's another one of those players that'll be good first big off the bench.
Yeah, I like him. I don't know exactly what Oklahoma City gave up. I feel like they
Too much.
probably gave up a little too much in this, but that'll be another topic for another day.
You'll see in a few days.
I'm sure I will. All right. So the next one is the Kings. Once again, I don't remember if they kept this or not, but 24th pick was Thomas Welsh. This is a guy that, if I remember correctly, he had very high man defense, and he was pretty good scorer around the basket. At least he's supposed to be efficient around the basket. Brett, what do you think about this guy, Thomas Welsh?
Yeah, I think you said it all correctly, right? I mean, he's not going to shoot the ball ever, but he's going to be, whenever the 2 or 3 times per game that he does put it up, he'll make over half of them. Yeah, he's going to be an elite man-to-man defender, and he'll be a decent shot blocker and probably average rebounder.
That's not bad for a big off the bench, because typically you figure, when you are taking a big off the bench, it's really just to hold down the fort until your starter can come back in. So I think he can do much worse there.
No, I think especially for a second big off the bench, I don't think he can do much better than that.
Marcos, anything to add real quick?
This pick was traded from Sacramento Kings to the Washington Wizards, as I can see here, because Gary wrote the article.
Gary.
Yeah, he's a decent player.
Making moves there. All right, pick number 25. I don't know anything about him. I don't even know if John kept this pick, but pick number 25, Dikembe Dixon. Do any of you guys know anything about this guy?
Brad probably. I know a bit about him, but I didn't like him at first place. But I had only one scout, so I'm not going to bash him right here.
All right, Brad.
I had to laugh at Adam and Kyrus put like little notes with whatever made each player, and their notes on this player was, I don't even know. So he's average, the below average. They were good handles. I mean, got a good jumper. Not going to score much, or shoot much at all, but a decent shot blocker. Just one of those. I have no idea where to put this player. As it said, I don't even know.
All right, I think we pretty much.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on this guy. I'll keep an eye on him because Kyler said he created him using a random number generator.
Oh,
so
nice.
Let's see what happens to this guy.
Tim took.
Yeah. Team traded up for this.
Tim was really excited by the fact that he was created by a random number generator. So it should be interesting. All right. Pick number 26. This is Kevin in the Utah Jazz. They made this pick much quicker. I thought he was going to take him 2 days to make this pick, but Kevin's made it much faster than I thought. I actually liked DeAnthony Melton. He was the last guy on my board that I felt confidence in picking. He showed some talent. Now, his discipline is garbage, and that's probably the reason he fell. But he had elite handles. At least his potentials, I believe, is above 85 or at least 85. And he looked to have very strong defensive game. Now, obviously, his discipline's bad, so it's kind of, hurts him, helps him, sort of thing. But what do you think about Melton, Marcus?
He was the last guy in my board as well. I had 25 players who I could consider at least moving up to grab them. He was the 25th. He's going to be a decent player as long as he develops. A good comparison for him is Briante Weber. He's that kind of player with better handles, so he's going to be able to play point guard, who's a more natural position for him, and he's going to be a very good defender. I don't know if he's going to reach Weber's level, but he'll be right there. You know.
It's not bad for pick 26.
Yeah, sure.
He won't hit Weber's level, but I do like him a lot. I mean, he would have started for Dallas this year over small for Jonathan Simmons. I mean, he's very good defender, good steals, excellent handles. He's never going to shoot the ball to take the ball away from the other stars. So I think at this point he was should have been drafted a few picks higher. Definitely better than a lot of his other picks in the last few picks. So I like the pick a lot for Utah.
All right, so this will take us to pick 27, who is the Sacramento Kings again, although I believe this pick was traded as well.
Let's see. Working on that.
Devin Robinson. Was this OKC's second pick?
Yeah. They
Okay.
traded number 30 for
Marcus,
this.
I know you liked Devin Robinson. What did you like about him?
Yeah, I saw a very complete player, even though he's a role player. But he was a guy who could handle the ball, had some passing ability, decent rebounding for a small forward. He can do it all but shoot, you know. So at 27, I see a little bit of value in this guy. He's going to find a place in the league as long as the team who he's playing on has decent shooting. You know, he can play on in Orlando, but he can play on a team like Miami. He defends well. He's an interesting player.
Anything to add there, Brett?
I didn't care for him. I thought when I first started the draft team, I made notes on each player when I had to make the original big board. And I'd say an average player, he's going to be the end of rotation wing type. So I see him as a 9th or 10th man. Okay. Not something I would have traded for.
I mean, which is interesting because I believe OKC hinted that they gave up a future pick.
No, not for him. He gave up number 30 and something else, like a second rounder, something like that.
That's not.
That was pretty decent right there.
All right, so the next one, I don't know if he kept this or not, but TJ Leaf was taken.
It's for Indiana, I think.
Okay. Brett, we'll start with you this time. What did you think about TJ Leaf?
Let me look over him real quick. I think he'll be solid inside. Not going. At this point in the draft, I guess he'll be decent enough. He'll make a rotation. If he can hit a 3 ball, he'll be good for transition to the DDS 19, I think.
Nice. Marcos, do you have anything?
No idea.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea on this guy either.
I'm reading the article here from SciLogical, and he compares favorable to Ryan Anderson, and that's probably a good pick for DDS 19, like Brett pointed out.
I'll be curious to see how stretch fours do in DDS 19 because they really were not successful at all in DDS 3. But
I hope they do well because marketing is waiting for the new engine.
I think they'll definitely fare better in DDS 19, so maybe that'll turn into.
Unless it gets nerfed, they're gonna. Everyone listens. They're gonna do a lot better in DDS 19. They just nice. 3-point shooters now.
That's good to hear.
Good.
All right, so I took this pick number 29, JP Makura. Honestly, if anyone had made me a decent offer, they could have taken this from me pretty easily. I didn't get anything good. I ended up taking, so he's a one-trick pony. He's a 3-point shooter. From what I gather, he's the best 3-point shooter in the draft, but his scoring is relatively low. Honestly, at this point, there was no one that I liked left. I decided to just take, a bit of a lottery ticket. If he does get a rookie boost, I figure he'll benefit more than anyone else on this list because he's so good at shooting. I believe his jumper is very good as well. From the combine, it looked really good. So if he does get a rookie boost, he'll actually be pretty useful for me. If not, whatever. I could care less about pick number 29. To me, again, it's just like a lottery ticket to me. I think so. This is according to Kairos I think in one of the articles, maybe it was Adam. His defense is supposed to be like not terrible. So I'm hoping if he can just get up to like 60 defense, that'd be fine. He could give me some minutes off the bench if he can actually take some threes. Because Lord knows my team needs shooting. So All right.
Let's hope he gets the rookie boost.
Yep, that's what I'm hoping as well.
Yeah, and you can never go wrong with shooting in this league, especially with Miami showing how important, how strong zone defense is.
That's right. So, Marcos, do you know who traded for pick number 30?
It was Sacramento.
Okay, so pick number 30, the Sacramento took Amari Spellman. Brett, do you know anything about this guy? I know nothing about this guy.
Now, yeah, it's very similar to some of the other bigs beforehand. I actually like him better than who Oklahoma took at their pick. Yeah, he'll be solid defender. I mean, he's not going to get any steals or blocks. He's going to be his rebounding in the low 70s for both. So this pick, I think, it scores in the 50s. Not going to be overly efficient, but he'll be a solid player. He'll be okay.
So I'm assuming he's a fourth, fifth big, maybe.
Yeah, definitely fourth, fifth big.
Just to point out, Gary made another move for this pick. I had no idea about it.
Oh, so Gary ended up with this pick.
Yeah,
Gary
it seems
loves
like
draft picks. Gary, you love any rookie out there. You trade for 4 or 5 every year.
Yeah,
either that
Gary
or
loves second round picks too. So good for
You
him.
have the roster.
I don't know. Beats me. But all right, so that'll do us here for part 2. Do you guys have anything to add here for picks 11 to 20? Anything you guys wanted to talk about here?
just how good this draft was. It's hard to find rotation players past the lottery, and I think I see some possibly stars after until like pick 20. So I think that was a very good way of compensating the lack of top tier talent at the top of the draft.
Yeah,
Good
I don't
job.
think it's quite as deep of a draft as we've had in the past. It's not necessarily a bad thing. There were still, like you said, there's still some good rotational players to be found after 20. I couldn't find any left at 29, but I mean, it's pick 29, so whatever. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good draft overall. I was talking to some other people. My favorite part was the fact that it seemed like everyone's top 10 was radically different.
Yeah.
From Tim taking Musa number 3 overall, Brett was on the draft team, didn't even have him top 10, but there were other people that loved it. And I believe some people said, if Musa didn't go 3, maybe Manu would have taken him 4. I don't remember. I might be just pulling that out.
I consider him too similar to Brandon Jennings type rating wise as far as shooting goes.
Fair. That's a fair point. So maybe I just pulled that one out of my butt. But yeah, I like there was a lot of like unique players. A lot of people I had Shaq Harrison as one of my top 3 or 4 in the draft. He ended up falling to 9. Robert Williams, a lot of people were high on him. He ended up falling to 10. It took the draft team to actually take him. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But all right, so I think that'll do us here for part 2. Thank you, Marcos and Brett, for joining me. Hopefully you guys will join me again in the future. Like I said, I plan on running these throughout the year now that I'm back, and I should have some more free time on my hands. So thanks again. You guys were fantastic guests.
Always a pleasure, and I hope to be back here.
Oh, you'll be back, Marcos. Don't worry. All right, guys. Thanks again.
Take care.